I have to tell y'all, I think I'm entering probably one of the favorite parts of my yard. If you look closely, you can see this bush right here just covered in all kind of bees. And did you know that a bee will produce different honeys depending on the flower that they fed on? Today, I'm gonna be making a honey glazed salmon, and then I'm gonna be making a fabulous vinaigrette using honey. And finally, I'm gonna be making a sweet potato biscuit that's gonna be out of this world with my homemade honey butter. And all these dishes are gonna taste totally different. And why? Because the bees produce different types of honeys because of the flowers that they feed off of. So y'all come on in the kitchen with me today because, honey, I'm ready. Come on, Cody, let's go in and cook, buddy. Come on. Well, welcome into my kitchen, y'all. You'll notice that I'm in my new kitchen, and I've enjoyed cooking in it so much because I have plenty of room to stretch out. As y'all can see, that's exactly what I've done this morning. I have stretched out from one end of this counter to the next. So the first dish that we're going to start with is a savory salmon. This is called savory salmon, but to me it's really a sweet and savory salmon. I've got a 2-pound filet right here, and we're really going to jazz this piece of salmon up. I'm going to start by sprinkling it with a little house seasoning. That's going to be our savory. And I'm going to cover it with julienne green peppers and red peppers. Look at all the beautiful colors. I'm going to cover it with 1 thinly sliced onion. And then I'm going to top it with 1 orange that's been sectioned out. So there's some interesting flavors going on around this fish. I can smell the orange, I can smell the onions. All right, so I have here 1 pint of fresh strawberries that I've sliced. I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of water to them. I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of fresh dill. I'm going to add some chopped green onions, and that's probably about 2 tablespoons. You don't have to be so specific. You can add as many as you like. And I've got about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic that's been minced. All right, now I'm going to add about a 1/2 cup of honey. And that looks like about a 1/2 cup. And I'm just going to pour that over all those yummy ingredients. All right, so I've got all of our ingredients in the bowl, and I'm just going to give them a few twists with a spatula. And look how beautiful. Look at those beautiful colors. All right, now let's move back over here to our fish. I've got the juice of 2 lemons, and I'm going to pour that just over our fish and our peppers and our onions and our oranges. And now I'm going to ladle the strawberry honey mixture on top of that. It's beautiful, isn't it? It was so cute the way this recipe got developed. This cutish young man, very talented young man, an artist, and one day he came to me, he was from India, and he came to me and he said, Paula, I would like to make you a fish. And I said, well, I would love for you to make me a fish. And this was the dish that he created. You could tell he was an artist, the way he put his colors together. All right, now I'm just gonna gently bring over the foil and loosely cover it. And I'm gonna run this in the oven and cook it at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes according to Cam. His name was Cam. And I would love to see him. He's back in India now, and I understand with his family and really doing well. Cam is just one of a few hundred students that we've had come into our life and add so much richness to it. We have students from all over the world, and it's so hard for me to love these kids and then have them grow up and leave home and get real jobs because every one of them has worked their way through school in a restaurant of some sort. And it's hard for us to say goodbye to these kids. So Cam, if you're watching over there in India, just know that Paula still loves you and misses you. Now, when we come back, I'm gonna be making a honey vinaigrette that I'm gonna drizzle over a bowl of fresh, crisp, mixed greens. So I'll see y'all back in the kitchen in a second. The recipe that I'm gonna share with you was given to me from these precious, beautiful men that own the Savannah Bee Company. Let's get started with our vinaigrette dressing. I'm gonna start with 1/4 a cup of rice wine vinegar, 1½ teaspoons of Dijon mustard, 2 tablespoons of honey, and y'all will see I'm measuring it with a teaspoon, but I think I can get it pretty close. All right, and I'm gonna add a pinch of salt, a little fresh ground black pepper. So I'm gonna blend those ingredients. So we're gonna start now. I've got 3/4 a cup of the walnut oil, and we're gonna start just slowly adding that to, ooh, y'all, that looks pretty dangerous. Excuse me, just one second. I'm gonna grab me an apron, or I'm gonna be covered in oil and vinegar. You can hear that working. You can see it working. All right, so we're gonna let that run just for a second. You can see the pretty color that the mustard turned our vinaigrette. All right, so that should have it. I think I'm safe to take off my apron now. All right, now I'm gonna come over here to our greens, and you can see I'm using a variety of mesclun greens, and to our lettuce, I'm gonna add 1 mango that's been diced. I'm gonna add 1 cup of goat cheese. That white color in there is gonna be stark and beautiful. And then I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of dried cranberries. And these are gonna give it a nice texture. They're gonna be a little bit on the chewy side, and they're gonna be a little tart and a little sweet all at the same time. So I'm just going to give this a toss. And at this point, you could add anything else that you wanted to this salad. In fact, some walnuts would be very, very good since I've used the walnut oil. And I think I've got some mint laying here, and I think I'm just going to pull a few sprigs of mint and toss into the greens as well. That'll give it a nice little hit. All right, now I'm just going to drizzle this with our vinaigrette. And you'll want to be careful. You can see how, because I slowly added the oil last, that it didn't separate. So I'm going to stop right there. Give this a toss. And get just a little bit of that dressing on all the ingredients in there. And how delicious does that look? You've got all the different textures and all the different flavors. Okay, our salad's all ready. Usually I always have walnuts around. I wish I had some because I think they'd be perfect on that. Well, I can't resist a little taste because, you know, this is almost like, kind of like free calories. Mmm. Mmm. This tastes so nutty. And the cranberries, they're chewy and real big on flavor. I think that you're going to love this, and you can have it with so many different meals. It'd be wonderful with chicken, fish, beef. Speaking of fish, I think we need to get our fish out now. It's been just cooking away. Let's take a look and see what Cam's fish looks like. Look how pretty that is. Now this may be a trick. Not bad. Not bad. And I can't resist a taste of this, y'all. I want to make sure I get a bite of strawberry. Oh, Cam, it's so good. So totally different from what you would expect with a fish dish. Thank you, darling. Now, when we come back, y'all, I'm going to be making something so moist and so yummy, and it's just going to scream for honey. All right, we've got all this wonderful honey in the kitchen, and I want to make something not that has honey in it, but something we can drizzle the honey over. And what better drizzler maker can I do than a sweet potato biscuit? I'm going to start by sifting 1 1/4 cups of self-rising flour with 2 heaping tablespoons of sugar and a pinch of salt. And I'm just going to take my spatula and run those through the netting. And there we go. We've got a nice fine mixture of flour and sugar. Now over here, I'm going to mix 3/4 cup of mashed cooked sweet potatoes. And I'm going to take a 1/2 stick of room temperature softened butter. And I'm going to blend those together. I'm going to bring this over and add this to our flour mixture. All right, now I'm just gonna cut this buttered sweet potato into our flour, just like you were making a biscuit with just shortening or butter. You wanna just cut it in. And now I'm gonna take 1/4 of a cup of milk and work that into our mixture. All right, now I'm gonna take some self-rising flour and put on my cutting board. And I'm gonna scoop my biscuit mix into that flour. And I'm gonna give it some toss-arounds in that flour because the milk had our dough real soft. So I'm gonna just knead that dough in that flour until our dough is the right consistency. So I'm gonna take the rolling pin and I'm gonna roll these out. And, you know, depending on the thickness that you want for a biscuit, I kind of like mine a little on the thicker side. Biscuit cutters can come in all different shapes and sizes as far as that goes. So it just depends on how big you want your biscuit to be. I kind of like the medium size, so I can have 2 of them. I feel like they're not that big, so I can have 2. So I'm going to choose this cutter. And you'll want to take your biscuit cutter and dip it in your flour so your biscuit will pop right out of there. All right, and you can see that I'm going to be cooking my biscuits today on a black cast iron skillet. And this is my hoe cake maker that I'm putting these on. It's just the perfect piece of equipment. All right, one more. The perfect amount for that pan. All right, now I have some melted butter back here. And I'm just gonna brush the tops of my biscuits with this real butter. That butter is gonna make those biscuits golden and give it some more butter flavor. Here we go. Into the oven, 450 degrees for 20 minutes. But I'm gonna keep a close eye on those biscuits because I don't want them to cook and get too brown on the bottom and not be brown enough on top. I'm gonna take a quick break to clean up my mess, and when I come back, I'm gonna be making some wonderful, creamy honey butter to pile on those biscuits. So we've come too far together today, y'all, for you to leave me. So I'll see y'all back in a minute. No self-respecting sweet potato biscuit would be caught dead without his honey butter on him. So I want to show y'all how quickly you can mix this up. And I also want to share with y'all some different variations that you can do with this honey butter. I've got 1 stick of softened real butter, and I'm just going to pour some honey on it. Now you can determine how sweet you want your butter. I'm going to mix that in. And I probably used about 1/3 of a cup. And if you want to change this honey butter around, you can add ground cinnamon, vanilla flavoring, ooh, some shredded orange zest will just make that perfect. And a few little nuts added into that will make a perfect butter for pancakes, waffles, bagels, blueberry muffins, all kind of muffins. But right now, my thoughts are on that sweet potato biscuit because I do want to eat it while it's hot. Oh, look at that beautiful biscuit. And that yummy honey butter. Mmm. Come here, Cody, you want a biscuit? Don't miss it, y'all. Don't miss it. It's out of this world. Y'all know today our time together has really been sweet. You know, with all this honey and all, it was perfect on my savory salmon. And the vinaigrette on the salad was so tangy and fresh. The sweet potato biscuits with the honey butter were just out of this world. And so until next time, y'all, I send you love and best dishes from my kitchen to yours.